Hello, this is Matt Ullman, and yet another kind of scientist-ish thing. Science, philosophy, kind of a mesh. Still reading Parallel Worlds by Mr. Kako, and I'm assuming that's how you say Kaku, so Kaku, or look him up. um, and just watched a history special called The Quest for the Lost Ark. And just kind of got my mind wandering on. It's hard to get wandering on both science and philosophy paths. It can be done, though. And I found my mind returning to an old argument I had had, and I don't think I ever put it up here, about parallel worlds and reincarnation. A lot of the problems with reincarnation is when you do the past life regression stuff, you find several people who may have been one person. Like you'll have several people, male and female, claiming to be Cleopatra or claiming to be Hitler or Napoleon or Attila or something. And what they don't seem to get, and I think the now that we've got people are finally starting to talk about something, called the multiverse. I think what we've got and what people need to look at is that it just isn't one person. There could be one, let's take Hitler for example, because he's one of the most recent. There could be a world that somebody in this universe came from where Hitler shined his shoes every day. Got up in the morning, shined his boots, went out. Maybe he didn't do that in this one. There could be one where he took a half hour every day to paint. Found a little spot to be quiet, and in that world, even though he did commit a lot of atrocities, he had his work put on display, and he influenced people. He influenced artists, so there may be, in that world, a section of the museum dedicated to his art. There could be one where he ordered places to be sectioned, like districts, have patches like they had the Jewish Star of David. Have that, be okay, you have this, you need to work in this district, this is where you're allowed to be. And he could do, he could have, just throwing something out here, he could have the Eiffel Tower for France, he could have like an image of a bullfighter or a bull for Spain. You take cultural things and put them on this patch. The British flag, he could have the flags. And maybe in that world, or an offshoot of that world, and he may not have even known this. Maybe some of his generals took that as, oh well, if we're going to cleanse the Jews, let's cleanse all these people too, because they've made it so easy for us to find them. And there could be a couple of universes where Hitler didn't even know the Holocaust went on at all. Think of it this way. Hitler was at the top of the pyramid. There were a hell of a lot of people underneath him. And there were so many chances for information to be changed or stopped altogether. And Hitler probably didn't go out very far into his territory. Why would he? There was a war going on. You don't want to get yourself killed and leave your country leaderless. So yeah, there could even be a couple of universes where maybe Hitler himself stopped the war because it came to his attention what his generals and what his army was doing to other people with the concentration camps. There could be one where he found out about them, finagled his way into saying, okay, I'm going to go meet with, maybe he found out, maybe the pact with England didn't happen until well after. The world didn't know about him. He didn't know about him. He finds out about him. He goes over. He sees Churchill personally. And instead of signing an agreement, he surrenders. He stops the war. He says, and this is why I'm doing it, because I didn't know this was going on. Now take all the people on Earth. Now, you could even talk to me. Past life, regress me. Maybe I was, Gandhi or something. But I was Gandhi in some other world. People say, and scientists say this a lot, that energy cannot be created or destroyed. No, but it can be moved. My soul, after this one, could die, and instead of going into a new body in this world, maybe it floats into the body of whatever my soul counterpart is in the next world, or in the next dimension. It might not be metalman at all. Depending on how the flow of time goes. There could be some universes out there now yet that are still in the Stone Age. So, I don't know how people would think about that. The one reason I think that parallel worlds do exist is because I look at my dreams as visits or windows to those other worlds. Dreams, movies, music, stories, all of them, when you think about them, as you're thinking, you're creating them, which means that if you're perceiving them in this way, that world exists somewhere. Can you get to it? No. It can only be reached through your imagination. And every time you imagine it, something's going to be different, which means you're going to splinter off into other worlds. The one that convinced me of this, the dream that convinced me of this, I was in a stadium, up in whatever the press box or wherever the lounge would be, looking down on a football field. I don't remember which teams, obviously. The game was about to be won. The clock was about to hit. And I looked up, and all across the sky were Earths, all like mine. And I could see on all of them, I hate to use the word infinite because I don't believe infinity exists. Infinity, once you reach it, is always going to have a digit. It's always going to have a value. So there is no true infinity because you'll always have a value you can assign to it. It's just we haven't reached it yet. It's always just one step beyond there, but that doesn't mean that there isn't a value to it. It just means we haven't found it yet. Anyway, I looked up, and all these worlds were there, and they were all focused on the same event, this football game. And all of the clocks were hitting 0. And as things progressed, they started dissipating. There'd be, say, 500 Earths, and then, the first firework would go off, and then lower it to 250. And then, the second firework would go off. Or maybe there would be no fireworks, and that could be what discounted a lot of them. In one team, the first firework would be green for one team, or it'd be blue for the other team. And eventually, enough coincidences happened that all I could see then was the Earth that I stood on. Because thanks to all these minute instances, they ruled out all the correlations I had to all those other Earths. That 1 second tied us all together. But then, of course, as we branched out, all the possibilities started going again, and that moment in time that we all met at started diverging again into, okay, this team won, this was this score, this was that score. The fireworks didn't light at all. Maybe this firework fired off randomly. Maybe people got up and started leaving a little early. So all these various things until I was back to where I started, watching this game, or how it had turned out. But that's my idea on it. I don't see reincarnation as something that can't be done. I see it as something that most likely doesn't continue in this universe. We've had our shot at this universe, we go to the next one. And from there, various universes diverge. There are some that I might not be making this video. There are some that I'm making this video but on another topic. There are some I might not even be alive to make this video. There are some that I might have died making this video, so will never be published. So, and all of those are true universes. They're all there. Can I see them? No. Do I know they exist? Yes. I know because I believe they exist, and because I believe they exist in this one dimension that I am seeing, and now that you're looking with me at, they exist. Thanks for listening, and catch you later.